All right, let's get right into it. Welcome to today's explainer. We're tackling something that is just incredibly frustrating, and honestly, almost everybody deals with it at some point. That endless, looping cycle of lower back pain. You know what I'm talking about. If you're tuning in today, you're probably a focused learner who is just completely fed up with resting, stretching, and then somehow still ending up in pain the second you try to lift anything heavy. Well, today, we're going to completely debunk some massive myths about back pain and spinal load. We're going to look directly at the data and the biomechanics to show you exactly how to build safe, source-derived strength. Let's finally break that cycle for good.
Here's our game plan to get you from that frustrating pain loop to absolutely bulletproof strength. First, we'll hit the back pain cycle itself. Next, we're rethinking everything you know about spinal load. After that, we're diving into core stability for both the front and the back, followed by real strength movements like carries and RDLs. And finally, we'll wrap the whole thing up with a long-term recovery strategy.
So let's kick things off with Section 1, the back pain cycle. This struggle is just incredibly universal. A staggering 80% of people, that's literally 8 out of every 10 of us, will experience low back pain at some point in our lives. So look, if you've been struggling, doing all the stretches, seeing physical therapists, resting for weeks on end, only to have that pain come roaring right back, you are absolutely not alone. This is a massive systemic issue, and honestly, it means the standard protocol of just resting it off simply isn't working for the vast majority of us.
Which leads us to a pretty critical question. Because eventually you have that epiphany, right? You tell yourself, okay, I need to strengthen my lower back. But if we all have back pain, why do so many common, highly recommended strengthening exercises actually make it worse? Why in the world do they trigger the exact pain we're desperately trying to get rid of?
Take the Superman exercise, for example. If you search for lower back exercises you can do at home, this one almost always pops up. You lie on your stomach, arch your arms and legs off the floor, you've probably done it. But research from Dr. Stuart McGill at the University of Waterloo reveals something pretty shocking here. The Superman puts 6,000 newtons of compressive force directly on your lower back. Now compare that to the safe limit recommended by the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health. Their safe limit is just 3,300 newtons. This exercise is putting nearly double the occupational safe limit directly onto your spine. Now don't get me wrong, compression isn't inherently evil. But if you have a sensitive lower back and your body is not prepared for that kind of force, an exercise like this is absolutely going to flare you up.
And that traps us in this vicious cycle. It goes like this. Step 1, you rest or stretch. You start feeling a bit better, so step 2, you head to the gym and try some unprepared loading, maybe jumping right back into squats or deadlifts. Because your back isn't actually prepared for that force, step 3 happens. You flare up your lower back. Then step 4, you falsely blame the squat or the compressive force itself, thinking, oh, squats are just bad for my back. Which leads to step 5, returning right back to rest and a completely sedentary lifestyle. You avoid loading your spine entirely, the weakness remains, and the cycle continues. We have to break this loop.
To do exactly that, let's jump into Section 2, Rethinking Spinal Load.
We've all been totally misled to believe that compression on the spine automatically equals arthritis or bulging discs. But the evidence, it actually shows that load on our spine helps improve disc height and integrity. Yeah, you heard that right. A loaded disc is actually a healthier disc. Think about it. Just like lifting heavy weights makes your muscles bigger and stressing your bones increases bone density, stressing your spinal discs literally forces them to positively adapt. They get taller, more mobile, and stronger when they're properly loaded. So completely avoiding load is actually starving your spine of the exact stimulus it needs to heal. But hey, before we can just go load the spine safely, we need stability. And this brings us to a foundational biomechanical concept, intra-abdominal pressure. Rather than just sucking in your stomach, I want you to imagine your abdomen as a 360-degree barrel. You want to expand that core outward in all directions. It's like inflating a tire inside your stomach. This expansion creates a pressurized cylinder that stabilizes your spine from the inside out. This specific technique is the absolute game changer for your ability to get back to lifting pain-free. It is the prerequisite for literally everything we're about to do. So now that we've got the mechanics down, let's look at some actionable solutions in Section 3, core stability for both the front and the back. First up is the bird dog. This targets your posterior, the back side of your body. You've probably seen this one at the gym, but here's how you actually do it right. Step 1, activate that 360-degree barrel of pressure we just talked about, keeping your spine perfectly neutral. Step 2, slowly with absolute control, extend the opposite arm and leg. Now, steps 3 and 4 are where the magic really happens. Don't just lazily point your toe. I want you to dorsiflex your foot, pull those toes up, and act like you are driving your heel straight through a wall behind you. Make a tight fist with the extended hand. And finally, with the hand that's still on the ground, actively push the floor away from you. Doing this engages your scapular stabilizers and completely fires up those trunk muscles. You're training the coordination of your spine stabilizers without dumping excessive force onto the joints.
All right, now let's flip the script and train the anterior, the front side of your body. Enter the dead bug. Now, step 1 here is non-negotiable. You absolutely must press your lower back completely flat into the floor. That simple act of pushing your lower back down, that's what engages that intra-abdominal pressure from the front. Step 2, raise your arms and keep those knees bent. Step 3, slowly alternate dropping one straight arm and the opposite leg toward the floor. And step 4, just like with a bird dog, pull your toes up, lead with that heel, and gently tap the ground before returning. Being able to control this coordination from both the front and the back is exactly what your body requires before you even think about returning to heavy lifting.
Once you have that 360-degree stability locked in, we move right along to section 4, real strength.
Here's the truth. Direct axial pressure forces your spinal discs to positively adapt, just like muscles and bones do. We are transitioning from low-threat stability to high-threat strength movements that actually load the spine effectively. Because to get truly stronger, your spine literally needs to bear weight.
The absolute perfect way to introduce this missing stimulus is the farmer's walk. You just grab heavy weights, could be a trap bar, dumbbells, kettlebells, whatever you've got handy, one in each hand. The real key here is step 2. The weight needs to be heavy enough that walking for 30 to 60 seconds is incredibly challenging. But why is this so phenomenal for your back? Well, aside from building up your upper back and shoulders, think about the actual mechanics of walking. Every single time you take a step, you're momentarily balancing on one foot, right? That brief single-leg stance forces your hips and your spine to stabilize against a heavy, shifting load. It is just an incredible way to build dynamic, real-world spine stability.
Our final strength movement is the hinge pattern, the Romanian deadlift, or RDL. Knowing how to hinge correctly is completely essential for moving your lower back properly in everyday life. So here are the steps. Step 1, keep your knees soft, just a slight bend. Step 2, imagine pushing your hips straight back toward the wall behind you. Now, step 3 is where a lot of people mess up. You must keep your pelvis parallel to your ribcage. So many folks accidentally overarch their lower back here, or they crank their neck upward to stare at themselves in the gym mirror. That overarching, that creates the exact same painful compression we just saw in the Superman exercise. Don't do it. Step 4, maintain that 360-degree core barrel pressure the entire time. Keep the spine neutral and force your hamstrings and glutes to do the actual work.
Let's bring it all together with our final section, the long-term recovery strategy.
Here is a crucial, absolutely crucial point to remember. While the bird dog, the dead bug, the farmer's walk, and the RDL are phenomenal for building strength and bulletproofing your back, you gotta understand their limitations. You cannot expect these exercises to do all the heavy lifting if you have an acute underlying root cause of pain. Think about it. If you've got an active disc bulge that needs to be reversed, a pinched nerve, or some severe hip mobility issue, strength training alone is not going to magically fix those root structural problems. Real recovery is actually a strict two-part process. Phase 1 is the pain reduction phase. This is where you address the specific condition, like getting the pressure off a pinched nerve or centralizing a bulging disc. Only after you successfully clear that hurdle do you move into Phase 2, the bulletproofing phase. This is where you deploy the 4 exercises we covered today to build the fundamental strength and core stability required to make sure that pain never comes back. If you try to jump straight to bulletproofing while you still have a pinched nerve, well, you're going to end up right back in that frustration loop we talked about at the very beginning of the explainer. Which leaves us with this final, critical question for you to really think about. Look closely at your own journey right now. Are you honestly still in the pain reduction phase, fighting a root cause that needs dedicated attention? Or have you cleared that hurdle, and are you finally ready to start applying load, building that 360-degree stability, and truly bulletproofing your spine for the rest of your life? Knowing exactly where you stand is the very first step to breaking the back pain cycle for good. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I highly encourage you to take that next step safely. You've got this.